Welcome to Weekend Wisdom by Creating a Family. This is the show where we answer your questions. So first things first, please send us your questions. You can send them to us either via email at info@creatingafamily.org, or there is a link in the show notes and you can click on that. Either way, it will get to us and we'll spend about 5 to 10 minutes answering your questions. So please send them to us because we really have been getting some great ones lately. So today's question is from a listener in California where both of her parents were transracially adopted. They said, can you talk about how being transracially adopted affects the adoptees' children and how they raise their children? Both of my parents were transracially adopted, and I don't feel like there's anyone else who can share this unique experience, and I just want to understand it better. As I said, this is such an interesting question, and you are right. It is a unique experience, and especially in your case, where both of your parents were transracially adopted. As I am wont to do, I did try to find some research on this and did not find anything. So this is all kind of what I think. It does seem to me that there is so many potential impacts. One, you have a lack of generational family health information, and you have it on both sides because both of your parents were adopted. Your parents experienced that most likely, that they didn't have health information, genetic health information for them, for their families. But now you as their child also don't have that information. And I read an interesting article on Harlow's Monkey, which is written by it's a blog by a transracial adoptee. She's Korean with white parents, and her name is Jae-ron Kim. She's also a professor and who does research in this area. But this particular one, this quote, she says, this lack of family health information doesn't only affect me, it also affects my children. And she's right. And so that's one of the impacts. Another impact is that when you were growing up and you had the ubiquitous family tree assignments in school, you weren't able to fill it out at least from the biological family standpoint. Now, your parents also experienced that, but that also passed down to you. Now, you may choose to do it through your adopted grandparents, and many people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you were trying to reflect your biological family, you would be struggling to do that. Another impact that comes with the fact that both of your parents were transracially adopted, which I assume means they were a different race from their adoptive parents, is how it impacted their racial identity development. And obviously this depends on the experience of your parents or the adopted person within their adoptive family. But transracially adopted adults tell us that they often have to tackle their racial identity and how that forms and how it develops on their own. And depending on how they handle that, it could impact how they raise their children and how their children's racial identity is formed. So I think that could be another long-ranging impact of having a transracially adopted parent. And the other one would be, again, along the racial lines, how did they figure out how to handle discrimination and racism? One would assume that they have figured it out, and so they are able to pass that down to you, whereas their parents, who were of a different race, may have struggled to do that. But if they are continuing to struggle with handling that, then that would be something that would be impacting you as their child. And in addition to racial identity, we should also throw in cultural identity. And you could say some of the same issues there, that there would be struggles on how they would handle that with their own children. And here's an interesting one. There's so many different forms of multiracial going on here. This is not the case with you because both of your parents were transracially adopted, and assuming, which I may be wrong, they may be of different races, but assuming they are of the same race, this doesn't really directly apply to you. But often they were in a multiracial situation. A transracial adoptee is by definition, a multiracial situation where their parents are of a different race. And if they marry a person of not their race, so of a different race from them, there's just a whole lot of different levels of multiraciality, I doubt that's a word, but that are going on, that are being navigated, which could be a beautiful thing. It could be a really interesting and broadening experience, but it's an impact. It's not neither a good nor a bad one, but it's an impact. So those were some of the impacts and ways that your parents' transracial adoption influenced your experience. So I hope that's been helpful. Before everyone goes, let me remind everyone that Creating a Family has a prenatal substance exposure workshop. It is interactive and facilitated. It is online. It's a 3-session, at a minimum, 3 sessions. If you could sign up for a couple of additional sessions, but for the most part, it's a 3-session, 1.5 hours each. So check it out at bit.ly/prenatal-exposure-training. And thanks for listening to this week's Week in Wisdom. If you liked it, please tell a friend to subscribe to the creatingafamily.org podcast. And I will see you next week.